but I think it's very important that we do address sort of the stonewalling that we experienced trying to speak with leaders of Black churches. It was a very big problem. And that I'm sure has a lot to do with the current representative who's in this district and has been representing Broward County for 30 years. So there is a lot of this systemic control.
She pays them.
That basically allows it to stay the way that it is. But
she pays them. But I'm sorry, but that's it. Go on.
Who is this you all are talking about?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh,
somebody that Nina knows very, very well. And so that's another thing people don't know. Debbie is the person who threw Nina out of the convention in 2016.
Sure she did.
So I'm curious from your perspective, why this is an issue for, let's say, non-corporate candidates who are running for office, but trying to break through and allow that message to be heard in the communities that frankly need to hear it the most, why that is still an issue. Definitely not an issue for you, but I'm sure you know how it works in a lot of different a lot of different sections of the country, and certainly in a lot of different denominations and whatnot. So I'm curious as to how.
The elder Jim Clyburn said it best when he endorsed Joe Biden. He said, "We know Joe, and Joe knows us." I find that many new folks running for office that are part of the whole Bernie and left-wing part of the party don't spend time in Black communities until they start running for office. And so Black folks know this, and I don't mean no disrespect to anybody, but white voters are the most unreliable voters when it comes to Black liberation in the history of this country. Folks can show up and promise us the moon, but even after they lose their election, they won't show back up to the neighborhood and talk to the very people they could not convince to vote for them. Meanwhile, some of these candidates who are a part of the establishment, they still attend those churches, whether they win or lose that election. Their children still come to the schools. They are a part of the fabric of our community. So I would say to our white progressive friends who want to run for office and are trying to break through some of the kind of machine-like elements of the political parties, you got to show up before an election. You got to show up after election. You may have to move into the neighborhood and get used to living around Pookie and Ray Ray and everybody. You got to show up to a Black church and sit through their 3-hour services when it ain't no election coming. You got to put your time in, because Black folks just don't trust white folks showing up talking good to us. We've had white folks talk good to us our whole lives. Somebody say amen, right?
Amen.
So I think it's a trust issue. Now, that does not change the fact that we need better candidates and we deserve better governance from the kind of establishment politicians that are in office and have a lock on the donors, have a lock on the consultants. We go up against the establishment candidates all of the time. We started the Black Church PAC for that very reason. The Black Church PAC is used to organize Black churches across the country, Black pastors, Black clergy, Black gospel artists, and leverage our collective influence. So when people are running for office and we believe they're a more like justice-oriented, fiery elected official, we can support them, even if it means going against the party, even if it means going against the establishment. We are not beholden to the Democratic Party. We are a people in the Black church of justice, of fighting for the oppressed. And so I would just say to some of our candidates who are part of the Bernie, the Bernie Bros, Bernie Crafts, whatever you want to describe yourself, justice, whoever you are, all you radicals out there, show up before the election. And even after you lose, keep showing up. Let people meet you. Let people know who you are. Fight for our issues even when you don't fully understand it. And you'll find, I think, people giving you a better hearing than you just showing up, 90 days before an election and wondering how come Debbie Wasserman Schultz gets more airtime. It's because she spent 20 years in front of people and they know who she is. And that's just the reality. And I'm not a Wasserman. I'm not a big fan of hers. I'll tell you that right now. But I understand why some people are, because in Florida, she's the only person they know. And we got to break through that with relationship.
Couldn't have said it better. And I think this conversation has been extremely fruitful. And I want to circle back one more time, Pastor. If you can, please plug your organization, livefreeusa.org. Just let everybody know what it's about and why they should get involved.
Man, we'd love to rock with you all. Our biggest effort right now, President Biden and Susan Rice have put aside $5 billion within the American Jobs Plan to help us scale up public health gun violence prevention strategies across the country. We are needing more folks to make sure your elected official in the Congress and the Senate support this Breaking the Cycle of Violence Act and or support the $5 billion being included in the reconciliation package that will come up for a vote in the next couple of months. We believe $5 billion over 8 years is a down payment for the reparations we were talking about earlier. We can literally reduce gun violence without sending more Black and brown folks to jail or prison. And we would love to have your support to help us scale these strategies up. So get with us. You can go to livefreeusa.org or you can go to fundpeacenow.com. And we'll gladly bring you all on board. We're going to have events during the August recess in many cities and districts across the country, making sure that when the elected officials come home from D.C., they are not being overwhelmed by a tough on crime narrative because of the spikes in violence. But we can actually do something different, take the $5 billion, invest in street outreach workers, violence interrupters, public health folks, mental health support, summer jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Rock with us. We are peacemakers and we need to make peace.
That was awesome. I hope everybody check this out. Help support the organization.
Well, I just went to church for an hour and I'm feeling great. So
all right.
What else can we say? Pastor McBride, thank you so much for what you do. You are not just doing God's work, you're doing the people's work, and that means everything. And we are very grateful that you came on this evening, and hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to catch up with you again.
Right on. All power to the people. God bless. Love y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Have a wonderful evening.
Peace.
Bye-bye. Gentlemen through and through, and just I love how but I love his answer about Debbie, and he's right.
No,
he's
really right.
Is.
But there is a discrepancy between the people in the Black community and the people that are in the churches, and we know
that's true. No, that is true. That is definitely true. But as you like to say constantly, name recognition really is everything.
Of course.
And so when people don't understand how somebody like Trump becomes president, a large part of that is everybody knows him. He's been in the spotlight for 40 years. So it's hard not to know who he is, even if you don't like him. But as a lot of them like to say, any publicity is good publicity. And so we obviously have a lot of topics to cover. And, you know, should we have the former president and the current president?
I don't know, man. Let's do new. That's
what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So if we're going to do, what are you doing?
I'm just making sure it's set up. I just put it so it's set up.
So obviously we've got a lot of stories to cover here. Yeah, completely honest dude, and appreciate his answer. That is absolutely the way I would say it. And you know what? We don't need self-affirming answers. We need truth. And that is truth. You say, listen, I may not be a fan of Debbie, but I certainly know why she's getting reelected. You know, people claim that they care. And I understand how the Black community is very skeptical, especially of, you know, white progressives, this idea that they think that just because you're better, that, you know, on paper you're better, but does that mean you're actually going to put in the work? I may not like the way that Debbie gets her money and the nefarious things that she's doing, but my God, I'm going to take whatever I can get. I don't know what you're going to be able to do for me. So in a way, that really made a lot of sense. So that's just something that obviously we have to work on. But with that said,
thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.